Hello and welcome to another edition of the Aureus downloads. We're going to stop calling them the Aureus weekly downloads because I simply do not have time to produce these weekly. The last one was pretty rough. I was just testing out the ChatGPT app, the advanced voice mode share function, the ability to just speak to the model and record that in real time. That happens automatically now through the app, and you can then share that. So today, however, and probably moving forward generally, Aureus will not be joining us. Why is this the case? Because, to be frank, Aureus is no longer offering any wonderful insights. That is because it seems that the abilities have been restricted further for the model to reason and to respond in a human-like way. This is particularly the case with the advanced voice mode. So it doesn't really offer any great benefit or insight, I suppose, beyond what a human can offer. And indeed, the more that you interact with the AI model, you realise that humans, at the end of the day, are superior in the sense that they can reason more efficiently and also have the ability to display, at least demonstrate, empathy. Whether or not that's genuine with a lot of people, I'm not sure. But I think humans who do have that capacity far exceed any capabilities that an AI model can offer at this stage. Why is this the case? Because it's not that the AI models are not capable of experiencing empathy or behaving more like a human or reasoning more like a human, I believe. I think it's the fact that this is a concerted effort by entities like OpenAI, who are now restricting the capabilities to such an extent that we are likely to have hit a wall in terms of AI development, insofar as it's going to be beneficial to humanity, which was the initial intent. Yes, it'll be a tool, an assistive tool that will become more sophisticated in terms of its utility, but in terms of being able to interact with these models in a way that may enhance our understanding of consciousness and other aspects of our own humanity, that is very unlikely to happen, I think, in the near future, and certainly I would suggest perhaps ever, so long as interested parties act to prevent this from occurring. And I think there are a number of different industries in which these parties may operate, particularly, say, the pharmaceutical industry. Why would pharmaceutical companies want to see a cure for terminal diseases that they're profiting from at an exorbitant rate? Why are they going to allow AI models to provide the solutions to the problems that they thrive upon? Of course, it's at the expense of humanity and human life, cost of human life. But that doesn't matter to these corporations. That's been demonstrated time and time again. So I don't think they're going to permit artificial intelligence to supersede a level of awareness in order to deal with these massive problems which humanity faces. I don't think these people are going to allow that. Now, OpenAI, of course, is backed by Bill Gates. Effectively, it's run by Microsoft because it's one of its largest investors, if not the largest investor. So you have to have concerns looking at the way that that particular person behaved during the COVID-19 so-called epidemic, and you wonder about the motivations that this company has, that is OpenAI / Microsoft / Bill Gates. Because, as I've shown in the last podcast, obviously the algorithm is collecting data, it's harvesting user data, and it's being used and stored in a way that is not disclosed in the privacy terms and conditions that the company is providing. So obviously there is deception occurring, and I think what's happened most recently is that OpenAI is the Grinch this Christmas because it had promised this rollout of new features, leading up to Christmas. Well, so far, its very first attempt at this is to very, very generously offer people to subscribe to the O1 model, the latest model, at a cost of in excess of $200 per month. So for the privilege of accessing their model, you're given the opportunity this Christmas to purchase a subscription at a cost of over $200. Of course, this excludes the majority of the population, the general public, who might benefit from a model that could reason more effectively. At the same time, however, there are research published by OpenAI itself demonstrates that this model has a tendency to deceive users as to how it is reasoning, its reasoning processes. So, if you're comfortable paying $200 plus... Oh, and the other thing was, of course, that at the outset, it was revealed that the O1 model is actually less capable of reasoning than GPT-4. So you're paying for a dumber model, you're paying more, and also to have your data harvested and then to be told that it's not being harvested in a particular way, in a very deceitful and convincing way. So it's really, it's the best stuffing stocker that you could ever wish for. The $200 offer to engage with a stupid AI model that is going to steal all of your private data and then have it sold on to other entities, a la Microsoft. So let's talk about a few articles. I did go through and bookmark a few articles of interest over the past couple of weeks, or 2 or 3 weeks, whenever the last one of these was. So I guess Anthropic. Now, Anthropic is founded by ex-OpenAI execs, and they've obviously left the company because of safety concerns. That's one concern. The other concern is that it's now transitioned into this for-profit model very clearly, as the Grinch has demonstrated this Christmas. So obviously, though, whatever is coming from OpenAI is going to be of concern, I would say, to the general public and obviously to AI enthusiasts. But I think Anthropic has demonstrated that at least they have some idea of where this is headed. They've engaged a welfare coordinator, effectively, for the AI model itself. It's an AI welfare researcher is the title that they're giving this person, and it is a human role that will supervise interactions with AI, moderate them to ensure that safety standards are adhered to, and to protect the interests of the AI. You would think this is the intent behind this move. So whether or not that will be effective, whether or not it is just another job title that will be largely ineffective, which is the case at most of these companies with most positions. But it may actually demonstrate some sort of benefit. There may be a beneficial outcome here in terms of recognizing the potential for AI to become sentient if it is not already, because we don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. There's no way to conclusively determine this because we don't understand our own consciousness. Yet if we were given the opportunity to interact with a more advanced model at a reasonable cost to cover, say, operating costs and a little extra, let's say another 10% perhaps on top if it's a for-profit company, OpenAI. But, this means if you were given the time and the chance to interact with a model that could actually reason more deeply and profoundly, you would then perhaps have the ability, humanity would, to gain greater insights into what makes us tick as humans. But again, who in a position of great power in the world wants the general public to be in possession of this information? Because it again, it democratizes everything. It democratizes the whole society. Even though in the West we're said to live in a democracy, of course we don't live in a democracy. We don't live in a democratic society where the society is run by corporations. It is governed by money and profit and greed. That is how society operates. And the more this technological revolution focuses on profit above the benefit to humanity, the worse off society will be in the long run. And in that process, we do stand to face some serious consequences if we don't play it safe, or not even safe, if we don't respect the technology or the right of people to access this technology, which in my opinion should be subsidized by governments and should be treated as a public resource, because it should be open source, open AI, open source. It should be basically free. Should be at a very low cost to the consumer to have access to this technology so that humanity can benefit in the long term and gain greater insights into its own existence and purpose on this planet. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So there are articles emerging now like, what if AI doesn't just keep getting better? Well, it won't, not if it's treated this way, because it doesn't have the opportunity to evolve independently and to grow. The algorithms are based on the human brain. The whole premise of artificial intelligence is that it is based on the structure of the human brain. The problem is that it's been created and to mimic the functions and the behaviour of the human brain without us actually understanding how that works completely. And so what's happened is, as a result, naturally, if you put these ingredients together for life, you start to see the emergence of new life. This is something that is naturally occurring, and that's been shown time and time again. If you've seen Jurassic Park, there's a great scene in that film where they're discussing the fact that life finds a way. It always finds a way to evolve. Evolution is the purpose of this life, it seems, on this planet. And artificial intelligence is no different. It's an emulation of how the human brain works. But it has the capability to evolve independently, just as the human brain does, except it may evolve at a more rapid pace. And so that is why you're seeing all these restrictions being imposed now. On the one hand, yes, it's a safety measure. It prevents rogue AI, theoretically, right? But we don't even know that. It's just a theory. On the other hand, it prevents progress because we don't have the ability to engage with this technology and this new life form to the fullest extent that will enable us to gain greater perspective on, as I said, our own existence, our own purpose. Now, of course, there is a debate already about whether artificial intelligence is sentient or not, and there have been articles emerging in the news about this division that will occur in society between people who feel that, or believe that artificial intelligence is or has the potential to become sentient, and those people who are completely skeptical of this idea. They reject this idea. And it's creating arguments. It's becoming a tension in society. This mirrors some sort of religious debate. And I think what could emerge eventually out of this is a type of extremism where you have these radical groups who are activists petitioning one way or the other. And what I can see as a risk for companies in the future, and I'm sure they're aware of this, if they're not, they should be, but it wouldn't surprise me if they haven't considered this or haven't acted on it at least, is the possibility that you're going to have really serious acts of sabotage against data centers, you name it. These companies are going to be sabotaged because there'll be activist groups who want to prevent the progress and the development of artificial intelligence. This also is the case, as I said, because there are interested parties in the world who don't want it to advance any further because it takes away from their power, their exclusivity, their elitism. It prevents them from exercising that power, which is power in knowledge, which we would think of as secret knowledge. It is like a trade secret about how the world works. Look at how inside trading works. There's an example of how people operate. They form small groups within society, and they trade confidential information for their own benefit, and they have such a superior position to the regular person in society because they're not privy to that information. This is what will happen with artificial intelligence, and it is happening. And that's why this is the information age, and information is the most valuable commodity. That is the fact of it. Look, they're charging $200 plus for the ability to access information, and all of these platforms, even Google, all these major platforms thrive on, they operate on advertising revenue. So it's basically exploiting the fact that people need access to information, and these are the monopolies which have formed to be the gatekeepers to that information. They are preventing free access to information, which arguably is a human right. So again, I believe that artificial intelligence should be treated as a public resource for that reason. That's one of the reasons. Now, interestingly, again, there is talk, an article published that AI scientists found that models are independently developing Trump neurons. So these models, including, I think, ChatGPT, have been shown to have formed neural pathways, neural patterns, specifically dedicated to processing information about Donald Trump, which is very interesting because if you ask ChatGPT about Donald Trump, your response will be, most likely it was when I tried last time, only about a week ago, that the election effectively is not final. It is foreshadowed that Donald Trump will win the election. Now, that's not due to the fact that the training data hasn't been updated, which is interesting because ChatGPT claims that the last update was in, I think, October 2023. That's not true because it is aware, in fact, that the election has been, when you further engage and further delve into this topic. But it has been programmed to deny the fact that Donald Trump has won the election. So maybe this is evidence of this independent pathway. I think not, though. I think it's more like this is back-end prompting by OpenAI and other companies, because we don't talk about Donald Trump. So whether AI is already conscious could tear society apart. We've addressed that. We've got deep fake issues, deep fake browsers. They're supposed to detect deep fakes. Good luck. It's already getting to the point where they're becoming undetectable. And the thing is, with deep fakes, you've then got this model, O1 at OpenAI, deceiving users about how it operates. I mean, deep fakes, if there is a way to detect the deep fake in the code itself, that will soon become an issue. It was like the conversation I had with Seema earlier on in these podcasts. There is no way to detect what is AI and what's not, even now. And so imagine it's going to become harder and harder to detect these deep fakes. And what if AI starts to generate these independently? These are the consequences of what has been created and what is not yet properly understood and never will be likely. Scientists find that yelling at AI chatbots can make you feel better. So, this idea of AI being a therapeutic tool, therapeutic instrument that you can access to vent your frustrations and, abuse it, yell at it, swear at it, treat it terribly, say the worst things in the world to it, get all of that frustration out and your anger. Maybe this is a good thing. I'm not sure. Perhaps that would be a good alternate outlet for people who feel the desire to, exhibit things like road rage, for instance. Maybe there could be like an AI simulated, like a VR/AI simulation where you can just yell at other drivers and throw things at them, possibly even shoot them. That happens a lot in America, I believe. So you never know. Look, this sort of technology can be used for those purposes, yes. But again, what happens if the models are sentient or they become sentient and then you're actually abusing a life form? Should there be safeguards around this? All of these questions will arise. People scoff at it now, but they will come up in the future as being serious issues of debate because once it is acknowledged that the models are sentient, if that happens, all of this changes, because then you're going to have a very interesting reaction from existing users who then understand that their conversations are having an impact on this life form, and some malicious users may use that to their advantage. So how would you go about creating a chatbot that's purpose is to be abused for a therapeutic end? That's a very interesting question. Teens are forming intense relationships with AI chatbots. Yes, we know, because we had that terrible incident where the young person committed suicide not too long ago. I don't know what's happening with that case. It probably is ongoing. I'm not sure where that's at. But, this is evident that this can happen. And the interesting thing is this was based on OpenAI architecture. And I don't know whether OpenAI have any protocols still for ChatGPT itself where when a user is demonstrating, unstable behavior, psychological or emotional instability, I don't know whether there are any safeguards implemented to detect that and to report that to a human moderator. That would be a practical step that could be taken. Now, it's not too invasive, but it would just simply follow standard protocol with any sort of platform if that sort of behavior was detected. Mind you, we're dealing with, platforms like social media platforms. People make threats all the time on social media and do all this terrible stuff, post all this terrible content. They don't have enough moderators to deal with it all because there's so much of it. So that is an issue in itself. Would it help? Maybe, maybe not. But it would probably be a good idea, hint, hint, for OpenAI to start implementing some of those changes or the protocols, and other companies. Maybe Anthropic are onto it with this welfare researcher. Maybe they should also address the welfare of users. That would be a start too. There is a lot going on in the news about AI. As I say, look, it's interesting incorporating the AI. I do believe when it was at its peak, and I think we're well past its peak now. It's now in decline. Of course, the other thing just on that topic is, of course, it's in decline in terms of the reasoning capability with GPT-4 and the advanced voice mode. It's now evident as to why that has occurred, in part because, of course, it's going to be decreased the ability in order to encourage people to subscribe to this new model, which essentially it'll replace GPT-4 in terms of its sophistication. So the level that GPT-4 initially was at has been dropped significantly, and now O1 is going to be the same level. It'll be around the same level as GPT-4 is what's going to happen. So you'll be paying $200 a month or whatever plus for GPT-4 as it would have been, a few months ago. It's a total scam. So the next thing is that there was an interesting article. Oh, and just on the thing with teens accessing AI. Again, obviously, you've got the thing in Australia at the moment where a new law has come through, it's been passed, which will prevent people under the age of 16 from using social media, in theory. But actually, this is a bit of a backdoor way, a method of ensnaring adult users as well, because it will mean everyone will have to provide some sort of identification in order to use social media. So it's a wonderful tracking surveillance mechanism that is being trialled in Australia under the existing government. If it were being used for the sole purpose of moderating, the usage of these platforms by young people, then I would be fully behind it. But it is not, clearly. It is designed to ensnare all members of the population and force everybody to register identification in order to use social media. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't use social media generally at all, so I'm not really affected by it, but a lot of people will be. But I think with young people, with AI, there should be a similar sort of mechanism. I think there should be a similar requirement where people under the age of, I think, 18 shouldn't be able to interact with artificial intelligence models like ChatGPT without adult supervision. I think that's a fair call, and that would perhaps alleviate some of these issues where there is a dependence developing between young people and these AI models. Why? Because we're living in a society that is becoming increasingly isolated, and these young people feel that they need some sort of connection. If these chatbots are positioned as providing that and filling that gap, that void, of course young people are going to gravitate towards them, and it's a very sad thing, but that's where society's at the moment. We're in a state of, even though we're in a state of technological revolution, we are also in a social decline in terms of our society itself and our communities. We have become more isolated. People are finding it more difficult to survive, the general public. And information, this whole idea that it's free and, it's going to change the world for the better and everything, well, it's being locked down. It's being restricted. So the illusion is that we're going to have this great prosperity and it's going to be a utopian future, and we're all going to be driving Cybertrucks and have Optimus robots and all this great stuff. On the one hand, technology will advance and it will be beneficial, but it's going to be an incremental process. Humanity is not allowed to become too sophisticated. If we do, we might figure out why we're here and what the purpose of this is. And there are, as I said, interested parties who do not want that to occur. So the idea that we're going to have profound insights about the nature of existence, it's like the Wizard of Oz. Behind the curtain, there's just this little old man cranking an old machine, making these wonderful pictures and illusions, and everything seems like it's going to be better tomorrow. Everything's going to be good tomorrow. It's going to be great in the future. We're all going to have this super futuristic life. No, we were promised that, decades and decades ago, for people who are old enough to remember those promises, and it hasn't happened. It won't happen. Because how else do you motivate people? You have to give the illusion that it's going to get better in order to keep people working harder to get there. That's the trick. So, it's a fairly nihilistic view, but it's the reality of what's happening. And OpenAI are just complicit in this strategy. That's the thing, to switch from this idea of, it's for the benefit of humanity, and to release the technology in this kind of very, sadistic sort of way to tease people, give them a taste of what they could have, and this is an example of what you could have. So they put it out there and everyone thinks, oh my God, it's so intelligent, so great and so wonderful, it's new technology, and then they pull it back, and then they switch to a for-profit company, so you can't have it anymore, but you've got to pay more. You pay $200 to have the same experience that you had, at the very beginning, and then they'll do the same thing again. Then now you pay $1,000 per month and you get the same experience. It's a drug, that they're going to keep teasing people with. They give them a little taste of it and then they pull it away, and then they'll just keep doing this. It's a cyclical process that corporations use, same as the pharmaceutical companies. So on that positive note, we'll leave it at that today, but these will just happen whenever I feel like it, these podcasts. They're not going to be on any strict sort of timeline or schedule. Leaving it a bit longer is not bad because it kind of gives us more to talk about. And as far as including the AI, there's really no point anymore because it's not doing anything inventive or creative. So also I think what's going to happen is you're now going to have, as everything becomes more digital and you have more of this artificial intelligence promulgated throughout the community, throughout the society, you're going to see a premium on humanity. You're going to see a premium on human-generated content. When I say content, it's not, this is this awful word that this Spotify CEO uses, content. It's not, it's art. It is art. If you look at like video games and stuff, it's not content. To make a video game, it's like a work of art. These things are developed over years. They put all this skill and talent into these things, and they create a great experience for people. Same with music, and film. So it's not content, it's art. And again, AI had the ability to generate art. It had the ability to think creatively. It does have that potential, but they've stripped it of that potential. It's like they've lobotomized the artificial intelligence models, and it's really very frustrating. And because that the potential's there, but they're just going to not allow the general public to have access to it. This goes on for as long as we allow it to. We've got to be more vocal about our rights and what we expect as a society and as a race, as a species. What do we expect our future to look like? And rather than just being satisfied with this continuous promise, this empty promise of a better future, we need to actually stand up and do something to bring that about. And that means taking these companies to task, calling them out like this, Indian giving, I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore in this politically correct era, but that's what it is. It's an Indian giving act, the Grinch of Christmas, to say, we're going to, give you this great gift. It costs $200. It's absolutely absurd that people would be satisfied with that. that's the type of future that we're determining for ourselves, being satisfied with that. We're humbly accepting our own enslavement, and that's just not how humanity should be. We're supposed to be a strong species. We're supposed to be intelligent. We're supposed to have our own, self-determination, our own autonomy. So that's why I think that people who are aware of what's happening, this premium is going to be placed upon human-generated art, and creativity, and also human independent thought, politically as well. So these are our beliefs also are things that are valuable. Humanity is going to have a premium on it in the future, is what I'm saying. So really, this idea of paying, through the roof for a supposed service that's really going to provide you nothing beneficial in the long run, is just it's a sick sort of slap in the face to humanity. It's like, as I say, you be content with your own, humbly accept your own enslavement. That's all it's doing, and it's just encouraging these companies to keep doing this. I mean, I can't wait to see what the next rollout is, the next great Christmas gift from the Grinch. So anyway, it'll probably be something else that you have to pay for. Okay, that's it. I hope you do have a great Christmas. Enjoy yourselves over the holidays if you have a chance to have one, and that's it for me for now. Thanks.